After playing 2 in Stranger Things, Ray Rudinsky in FBI, and other cool roles in indie projects, so many people ask me, I'm ready to be a working professional actor, where do I send my information to? It's not that simple. It takes so much time, effort, energy, and money to make this work. With all that being said, it is possible to become an actor in 2025 with no experience. It's just using a process that your friends, your teachers, your parents have not really taught you before. Step 1 is to start developing the fundamental skills to stand out and be ready for professional work. You can always start by taking local theater classes. However, be aware that most of the technical aspects you learn about performance, you're going to have to completely throw away and unlearn when you're going from theater to film. But there is still value in learning how to properly develop a character. Once you're ready to translate from theater to film, start finding either in-person or online acting classes that are film focused so you can learn how to properly move in a more cinematic way that's pleasing for camera. The other easy way to learn the craft of it is to conduct your own little film studies, but pay attention not only to how they deliver their lines, but how they also move with the camera. But be very careful about not getting that analysis paralysis where you spend years observing acting instead of conducting your own acting experiments. Step 1.5, get some very cheap, quick and easy headshots that you can use to submit yourself to some of the local student films and low budget short films. My first headshot ever was something my mom just took with her phone against a blank wall. I put it in black and white because I was edgy. I made sure my muscles were strong in the shot. It got me my first roles in student films at some of the local colleges. Step 2, film your own projects. The reality is you need to book work to get work, but how are you supposed to book work if you've never gotten work in the past? It's up to you to be proactive. This can be as simple as filming a monologue or a mock audition tape on your phone, and the reality is that high quality acting in a low budget production is going to do more for you than high budget production with low quality acting.
I did not hit her. I did not. Oh, hi, Mark.
So don't feel like you need to go out of your way to have the next Martin Scorsese short film. This is footage you'll be able to use to submit yourself to agents and other projects in the future. However, this is also a safe environment for you to get that on-set experience without millions of dollars being on the line. By the way, I'm saying all of this so you feel empowered to start making it happen for yourself. However, go audition for other projects around you, whether it's student films at universities, local short films. Find as many different opportunities to learn and experiment in front of a camera as you can, because the reality is your first couple of projects will probably suck, and it's supposed to be that way because you're still learning. So you have to get those repetitions out. You have to get these sucky projects out of the way. Backstage is another great resource whenever you're first getting started. It's a great place to at least start building that momentum locally, meet some local creatives. Step 3, get a hyper-specific stylized headshot that will help you stand out on a panel of bland, ambiguous headshots. This is where we're going to go against the grade of my advice in 1.5, because the worst thing you can do for your professional headshots is have just a plain white, black, blue background, because every other actor does that. Casting directors hate it because it lacks creativity and originality. And how do I know that? Because I've taken casting director workshops where they've actually told me that. What is a casting director? They are the people that are narrowing down to the short list of the top actors to then send to the producers and the directors that will ultimately make the final choice. If your headshot blends into the crowd, they might not even click on your profile and even give you a shot to be considered for the role. When you're going to the headshot session, you always need to know what you're trying to capture. So ideally, you've discovered your primary character type. However, most headshot sessions, you go in knowing you're going to get multiple looks. For example, they'll usually give you 10 final edits off of 3 total looks. A look is just an outfit. You usually only submit 1. So there are 3 main things you should prioritize whenever you're getting those headshots. First, obviously your character strength. Second, find another contrasting character strength. So for example, for me, if I primarily play the dark antagonist bully type of characters that have daddy issues a lot of the times, I want to contrast that to a character completely different, because then anytime an agent or a casting director sees both of those headshots, even if it's not 100% the character they're casting, their imagination will assume, oh my gosh, they have so much range, they can play both this and that. Everything in between, they must be able to play as well. What do you do with the other 10 shots? First, get at least 1 or 2 full body shots, because most of the time casting directors will ask for that. Have one that is just your essence, your personality, the photo that just feels most distinctly like you. Next, you can have the character type that tends to be your first impression. You can do this by sending a list of adjectives to all your friends, family. Just say, if you knew nothing about me, what kind of character could you see me as the most? You can also do this with the actors in your classes that you're taking, because the first impression people have of you is very similar to the first impression an agent or a casting director would have of you. Whatever you have left can just be your dream type of roles that maybe aren't yet your strengths, but you would love to do at some point in your career. For example, I would love to play a Joker at some point, so perhaps I would have a Joker themed headshot. And you also probably should have a commercial shot. Commercial shots are always smiling, they're always very bright energy, because the beginning of your career, you're gonna hate it, but you're gonna have a ton of commercial auditions, which pay a lot, but suck your soul a little bit. When it comes to choosing your photographer, you can do your own research around you to see what the prices are, but I'm a headshot photographer. I've taken headshots with other photographers in the past, and generally, depending on where you live, it can be anywhere between $150 to $500, $600. Usually, the bigger the film market, the more expensive the photographer is going to be. Step 4, submit yourself to agencies. Almost all principal speaking roles are entirely cast through agencies. This is so that the casting director is not wasting their time with a bunch of auditions from actors that just aren't ready. And so the agent acts as the middleman that makes sure only qualified actors that are actually ready to do work are being submitted and seen for the role. There are 2 main ways you can do this. One is through cold submissions. In the past, you had to mail all of your materials to an agency, but luckily in the digital age, all you have to do is send an email with your headshot, resume, and reel, and then they will reach out to you to schedule a potential meeting. From IMDb Pro, you just go to companies, talent agencies. You could research Los Angeles or New York-based agencies, but I personally recommend starting locally, building a foundation where you currently are, before then branching out to Los Angeles and New York. The way you do that is, for example, I'm in Dallas. You put your city in the little search bar, and then all of the agencies near you will pop up. You can click on each of them individually, and from there take a glance at their entire client list. And to be even more specialized, click on a specific agent. For example, I'll click on Katie Moffitt, and from their page, you can see everyone on that agent's personal roster. You look through their client list and you make sure they don't have a ton of actors already on their roster that look exactly like you or give the same energy as you. Remember how we tried to find your acting strengths? That's what you're gonna use to find out, do you fill a hole on their roster? And if so, they're actively looking for someone like you? Or will you just disappear because they don't really care if they have another person like you? From there, you can find the email that they have on their profile, send them a personalized email. You don't make it come across like you're copy and pasting the same email to everybody and you've done your actual research, and have the subject line be your character type instead of the bland seeking representation that a lot of beginner actors put. Your character type that they don't currently have on their roster will stand out, and because they're actively looking for that, they're immediately going to want to open that email. Before you submit to those agencies, just make sure that they have booked their clients' professional work in the past. You don't want to sign on with someone that has 0 track record, because it's not going to progress your career. It's just going to delay the time it takes for you to get to an agent that will help you get those roles. This can be very time intensive, and a lot of times you might be sending emails to agents that aren't even looking to expand their roster. So there's a much quicker cheaper way to accelerate this process, which is a service called Talent Link off of Actors Access. So let's go through the Talent Link process that you can use to push yourself out to a wide range of agencies that are currently seeking to add talent to their roster. For $35, you can specifically push your portfolio to either Los Angeles, New York, the Southeast, or the Midwest regions, and then you choose the primary photo that you want to serve as your thumbnail. So this is a great little gallery view to see, because this is the exact way that a casting director or the agents will see the different submitting actors pop up as. Just a group of thumbnails. Whatever jumps out at me would be the one I would click on, and then anything that doesn't, I'm not even bothering to look at their portfolio. And then you select the videos that you're going to submit to them to review. A demo reel is great for getting an agent because you're able to show a wide range of different characters that you can play, and so they know that you're not a one-trick pony. However, once you have that agent, they're going to want you to start uploading individual clips so that they can start to pick exactly what the casting director sees to make sure that they're pitching you only with footage that suggests the character that they're trying to cast you as. These are all proactive ways to get your first agent, but it's also very common to have an agent discover you. My first agent found me because I put together a little demo reel of stuff that I filmed myself on casting networks, and she stumbled upon it, loved my look, loved the vibe I gave off, and wanted to sign me. If you don't hear any feedback after doing this whole process, it's just the wrong time. The industry's in a weird place, or you're not as ready as you think you are, and you still need to improve your craft or footage or headshots a little bit more to finally get an agent's attention. Step number 5, perfecting your self-tape process. So at this point you have an agent, and because this current film market is primarily audition tape, which is just you filming yourself to submit to the casting directors, we're gonna go through some of the core technical aspects that you wanna be aware of. You want to just be in front of a plain backdrop, something that doesn't distract from you, with some type of key light. A key light is just the primary light source that makes sure you can be clearly seen. It can be something more professional, like a little ring light that I currently have, or it can just be, if you're on your budget, the best window in your house. Obviously, if it's nighttime, you're not gonna have enough light coming in from that window to be evenly lit. So you can use just a little lamp, doesn't have to be anything crazy, put it on some type of surface that allows it to be eye level with where you're currently at. You wanna make sure it's eye level because this is gonna be the light that is most flattering. If you put it above, it's gonna start to give you little raccoon eyes. You can see raccoon eyes are just the shadows right around your eyes. If you put it too far below, it's gonna accentuate your wrinkles, make you look a little creepy and probably a couple years older than you actually are. You want to also make sure your wardrobe stands out from that backdrop, unless you're playing a character that is specifically trying to blend into their surroundings. So for example, if I have a blue screen backdrop, wearing something either red, gray, green that makes me pop will be better than wearing something blue that just makes it borderline look like I'm a just floating head in some ways. You also want to make sure your background is complementary to your skin tone. For example, if I, a white person, am just chilling in front of this wall as my entire background, it's going to wash me out. When it comes to the performance itself, the biggest advice I can give you is to make sure every scene has some way that it changes from the beginning to the end. Every single scene in every project has to have some way that it impacts the story, or else it wouldn't be there. That's how film and TV is different from real life. Film and TV captures the highlights. It captures the moment that brings some type of change to the character or to the story. It's also vital to play with contrast and eye contact. The reason I look at you matters for the reason I can't look at you. Contrast in the movement. The reason I'm still only matters because of the reason I'm moving. Contrast in volume. The reason I yell only matters for the reason I whisper. Now let's talk about framing and eye lines. So first off, I would say 95% of your auditions will be chest up. The only exceptions are when you're doing a high action scene or if a casting director requests a 3/4 shot. Usually that's just because they're casting off the tape and they want to see even more how your body moves with the environment. But generally, the exact framing you currently see is how I also frame my audition tapes. Close up enough to where everything you do can live in subtlety and still be picked up, but far enough away where the audience doesn't feel like you're assaulting them with your eyes. I also use the rule of thirds when I'm framing myself up, which is something cinematographers do to break up the frame into 3 equal parts. Not only does it look more cinematic than just being smack dab in the middle, but it also gives me more range of movement, because instead of having little parts where maybe I go here and here, I can show a lot more distance by going from one side of the third to the other side of the third. I always, when I have a scene where I'm only interacting with one person, I will look across the lens into basically the empty space that you see on the frame. This is just a subtle way that even cinematographers use to open you up to the audience and make it easier for them to connect with you. Whereas in the other area, if I'm looking away from camera, this closes me off to the audience and it makes me feel a little more isolated. Now, obviously, there are instances where if your character is isolated, you want to intentionally break that rule, close yourself off to camera because it has a character intent. Let's say you do have a scene where you have multiple eye lines because there are multiple characters speaking. This is where it's vitally important to have some type of visual cue, so every time you look at each individual person, your eye lines are correct and consistent. I recommend using post-it notes. You can also draw a little face on the post-it note, have the name of that character on the post-it note along with maybe a little sketch that evokes the essence or the attitude or the energy of that character, so that not only can you keep your eye line straight, but you can also remember how different your relationship to each of those characters is. A common note that I give people in their audition tapes is to flesh out the relationships in the scene more. The issue when you have the same scene partner reading multiple characters is you interact with them the exact same way no matter who's speaking. And that's the quickest way for it to not feel like you're fully engaged in the world, because you're not taking time to flesh out each of the individual characters. Step 6, be grateful and patient, because the reality is it takes years to get successful in this industry, and even then it's very unpredictable. I even have moments in my own career where I feel like I should be in a different place or I should have accomplished more at this point. And it might seem like you put all of these hours in and cross your fingers and hope you get lucky, but it's just a numbers game. The more auditions you get, the more people will trust you, and the easier it'll be each time to get that next role. One of my favorite acting quotes from Bryan Cranston is that auditioning is part of the job, not just trying to get the job. So if you go into every audition putting your best foot forward with that mentality, whether it's in months or years, you're going to get that break. You just have to trust yourself. If you'd love some help on this path that you're about to take, join my free acting group in the link in the description. Not only will you have access to a community of actors from around the world, but you have more direct access to me through the DMs and through the Q&A calls that I host. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Wait, what? Oh. Michael Myers is telling me that I'm launching my own acting classes in a couple of months, and if you want to be the first to know about it, we're launching it to our free group before anyone else. So if you'd love more information, Michael Myers is telling you to go join now.